All right, everybody. What is going on, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen? All right, so let's let a few people get in here before we get this party started. This fishing party, I should say. Hope everybody is doing excellent tonight. It is a Monday. Where in the world did the weekend go? Nobody knows. Anyway, hope you guys all had an excellent rest of the weekend. This is kind of a last minute live that I thought of here tonight. Just so you guys know, we'll be going live again Thursday night to discuss a completely different topic. But yes, we will be going live again Thursday night. So please feel free to tune in as always. Hope everybody is doing excellent out there. And like I said, we'll give everybody a few minutes to show up here. If you're watching on Facebook, thank you for doing so. I really appreciate it. And as always, I am looking to include some audience feedback. So, as always, if you guys have any comments, please leave it in the chat. I will try to get to them. And as always, please keep it classy. And as always, I sincerely appreciate everybody who decides to tune in tonight. And if you don't tune in, you can catch the episode after it airs live. So, what I would like to do is to have you guys leave any comments that you have on this. If you're watching this live after the show, please feel free to leave me some comments, what you think. And as always, please subscribe to the channel if you have not, and hit that like button so YouTube can see that you guys like my videos. So, again, like I said, we'll give it here just a few minutes. I'll probably start chatting here at about the 5 minute mark. Like I said, we'll let people come in and we'll let people do that. So we'll get to the 5 minute mark here. Tonight we're going to talk about watercrafts, so kayaks, folding kayaks, paddle boards, canoes, boats, um, anything else you can use as a watercraft to get on the water. We will be discussing that. Now, for some reason, you guys, I can't always see all the chats on Facebook. So if you guys are on Facebook, thank you guys so much for being here. It's good to see you guys again. And like I said, thank you as always. So we're going to give it till about the 5 minute mark here, and we'll let people start to come in here. About the 5 minute mark, I'll start getting into my topic for the night, which is mostly watercrafts. So, like I said, we'll start here in a few minutes. And again, thank you to all those watching on YouTube and Facebook. I appreciate it. All right. Like I said, guys, we'll give it till a 5 minute mark here, about 45 seconds, and I'll get into my topic of the night. Talking about watercrafts tonight, canoes, kayaks, boats, paddle boards, folding kayaks, whatever it is that you use to get out on the water. I will likely be talking about it tonight. And I'll give a few of my own opinions and suggestions, and then you guys can kind of share your own experiences with me. If you guys can, please share this chat with anybody who might be interested in this. Have them chime into this chat. I'd love to hear people's opinions and personal experiences with this. So definitely please let everybody know. All right. So as we're getting to the 5 minute mark here, let's go ahead and get the show rolling here. So, all right, you guys, welcome to another episode of Bearded Fishing Chats. Tonight's a special live edition. All right. So recently, you guys, my brother along the way here, I think back was like 6 months ago, had started telling me about foldable kayaks. Now, I never knew foldable kayaks existed up until that time. He showed me a YouTube channel actually where people discuss folding kayaks. It's Tackle to the People. And this gentleman gave good reviews to the folding kayaks. And for me, myself, like I said, I had never heard of it, didn't know what to expect. So, as far as that goes, I was new to that end of it. So, what I did was I did my own research on it. They're called Oru kayaks. So, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Oru. So, Oru kayaks. Now, the Oru kayak is a foldable kayak. I bought the white color. It weighs about 18 pounds and it literally folds up. So the thing folds up when you get it. My fiance and I picked some up at Dick's Sporting Goods. And like I said, they only weigh about 18 pounds. And you literally unfold it, patch it together, and you just drag it down to wherever the body of water is. Now, I thought that my first glimpse of it was very light. And believe it or not, folks, it was actually very comfortable sitting in. The foldable kayak was very comfortable sitting in. It didn't take much to get it into the water, and when the water was calm, it didn't feel tippy. Even when there was a little bit of waves in it, it didn't really feel tippy. But in any event, though, it was light. So I guess what I'm saying is I would probably recommend it on smaller ponds, but if you have bigger lakes, like if you fish, let's say Lake Erie, or you fish Lake McConaughey or Lake Oahe, or really any major body of water, on a windy day, I personally would be a little bit iffy about it. So, but if you like to fish small ponds, if you like to fish smaller bodies of water, I'm talking between like 200 to 600 acres, and maybe even, a tad bit bigger, then most of the time, I think you should be okay. It's pretty suitable, but I definitely would not use it on the Great Lakes. I wouldn't use it in any big body of water, and most definitely be very careful because you could probably pretty easily tip yourself. But like I said, if you fish a lot of smaller ponds, smaller lakes, and it's a calm day in the water, and they're not anticipating a lot of wind, then in all honesty, it's pretty cost effective. I think mine was about $1,000. I think you can only get a certain amount of folds out of it, though, you guys. So, but I believe it was a lot. I still have to look into it. You can get a lot of folds out of it, and you can use it probably, I'd say, for a couple of years. And again, it was about $1,000. So all in all, if I was to rate the Oru kayaks, I definitely like them a lot. I think it's a very convenient way. So what's convenient about it is you don't need a truck, you don't need an SUV. All you need is pretty much just a little sedan. And as long as you have a little sedan, you can fit the kayak just right in your back seat once it folds up. So once it folds up, you're good to go at that point. So that's the big advantage of it. You don't have to put it on the roof of your car. That's definitely something that worries a lot of people, like versus a kayak or a canoe where you might have to tie it onto some roof racks. You might have to tie it to the back of your tailgate. You just never know. And of course, if a scrap gets undone or something didn't get tied right, the canoe or the kayak could fall off. So that's a big advantage, is that you don't really have to worry about that. Everything fits right in your back seat. So I think all in all, I would give the Oru kayaks about a 7 out of 10 on the scale. I think they're pretty good. I just think, like anything else, they have their pros and their cons and things that are better and worse. It just all kind of depends. Now, so a canoe. So what's interesting about a canoe for fishing, I've actually been fishing out of canoes since I was a kid. And, ever since I was a kid, canoes have been pretty standard for me. Now, I never grew up fishing on a ton of big lakes. There were some that I would fish on, but in those instances, I would usually grab a boat. Um, but there are times where I do fish bigger lakes in a canoe. But one thing about canoes, I recommend Old Town canoes. Now, if you take care of those, especially if you buy one of the older versions, I mean, I've been using the same canoe since I could fish, and I've been fishing for 25 years, and that canoe has never had a single issue with me. Now, I don't know how far back we had that canoe, but if I'm not mistaken, it's been at least probably 20 years since we've had that canoe, maybe even more. And if you take care of it, you guys, if you patch up the scratches and you keep it in good condition, then in all honesty, you guys, you can get a ton of use out of the canoes. It's very cost effective. I believe a lot of the Old Town canoes right now are about $1,200. The Sportsman's version. In fact, I think I had one saved up on my phone here that I can tell you guys about here that was actually pretty good. Yeah, so they have a Sportsman's Discovery series that's in the ballpark of probably about $1,300. Um, and yeah, so yeah, so that's always a good option. And like I said, that's going to last you probably, no joke, probably a lifetime if you properly take care of it. Zach, thank you, my man. I appreciate it, buddy. I appreciate it. I try to keep the beard looking nice and fresh. Gotta keep up my image on the channel. So thank you, brother. I always appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in tonight, my man. Appreciate you. Guys, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe as always. And please share this chat that we're having right now. Definitely share this chat. Let people know I'm going live right now, and I'd love to have any audience participation. That would help out a lot. So, back to what I was saying about canoes. So, with canoes, what's good about canoes is that if you live in a rural state where you have so if you lived in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maine, or like states that have forests where there's lakes way into the woods, or even if you live in like Canada, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you have ponds that go into the woods that are small, that have a lot of native brook trout or native walleye or whatever you go after, if you have those small ponds that are in the woods, you're definitely going to want uh, something like a canoe that'll glide through the water very easily like that, and something that you can carry in through the woods. And another helpful thing when it comes to a canoe is my brother also has got a, I don't know if you call it a cart or a buggy, but it's this little thing where you can put the canoe on. It's got wheels on it. You can drag it through the woods. As long as there's a paved trail, you guys, that's a good way to go. One thing I would do with a canoe is I would probably avoid as much as you can scratching it at the bottom. Now that's hard to do. It's kind of unavoidable sometimes, but make sure that you patch up those scratches with the canoe. Now, obviously, with that with that in mind, you can get into a lot of smaller areas with the canoe. But the thing that I will say with a canoe is that it's very tippy. So if you have not had practice with a canoe growing up fishing, it's very, very, very tippy. So I would be careful that I would get out. Actually, if you can, I would get out a dozen times with somebody who's been in a canoe just to kind of show you the ropes, just so you get used to it. And of course, safety always matters. Now, as far as fishing out of the canoe, there's a lot of good advantages to it. So you can stay seated. So this way the fish don't see your reflection in the water. That's a big advantage to it. A disadvantage is you really can't stand up uh, in the canoe or the kayak that I just mentioned earlier because it's very tippy. You could risk falling into the water. And I wouldn't recommend standing up in a canoe unless you're remarkably experienced in it. And when I say remarkably, I mean years of practice. So you want to make sure that you get years of practice in that. You don't want to do anything stupid and fall into the lake and have any nonsense like that happen. So just a heads up on that one. And as far as casting in a canoe, that also takes a little bit of balancing experience too. So it's just something to practice. And with the canoe too, you can haul it on a trailer. You can haul it on some roof racks. You can haul it in the back of a trailer, like I mentioned, or in the back of a tailgate. What I would say though is that with a canoe, some of them are bulky, some of them are heavy. So when you strap them uh, onto your truck bed or your roof rack or wherever you're strapping it into, about halfway between you and your destination, I would check it just to make sure none of the straps come loose. That's definitely something where I would definitely you look into more information about that just so you can do it safely. That's the biggest thing. So, all right, now paddle boards. If you guys have not caught my interview yet with the homeless fisherman, please do so. It is in my live, or not my live, but in my long form content videos. So if you guys get a chance, go check out that interview. And the reason why I say that is because he swears on paddle boards. He absolutely swears on paddle boards. Now, kind of like there's inflatable boats, there's inflatable paddle boards. And as far as all things inflatable goes, whether if it's an inflatable raft or a inflatable kayak or anything inflatable, you can do it. It's kind of like what I mentioned earlier with my foldable kayak. With my foldable kayak, I can bring it anywhere. If you have something inflatable, that's an advantage of having it be inflatable. You can put it in any type of vehicle that you might have. The only thing that you risk with that is a puncture. Um, if you get a puncture in your watercraft, and especially if you are probably not the best swimmer, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So if you're just a decent swimmer, now keeping in mind you have clothes on too, that's going to make it harder to swim in. So you might want to take the safe route and go with just a standard kayak or a standard canoe for that extra safety. And if you're especially prone to not being able to swim well or anything, you may want to stick with the boat. But anyway, I kind of digressed a little bit there. So back to what I was saying, a paddleboard. So with a paddleboard, um, also kind of requires good balance too. At a paddleboard, you kind of have to paddle with your feet a little bit as well. So I don't know as much about paddle boards, but it's definitely something that you have to balance out. And from what I can see too, it's probably better to use in calm water, especially if you're just a beginner. If you're a beginner with paddle boards, I would definitely be very careful with those. You will have a different fishing experience with it though, and it might even be a really good fishing experience. So uh, if you watch the homeless fisherman, so definitely catch our interview that we did, but check out his channel though. Um, the way he fishes is extremely interesting off those paddle boards. And when those fish are pulling you and your paddleboard halfway across the lake, that's actually a really cool feeling. I would imagine, and it kind of makes me want to try it out. So for paddle boards, I don't have a whole lot of recommendations for it, but just like anything else, I would get some practice and just kind of see, um, what do you think? Hey, my mom's in the chat tonight. Are they easy to assemble or open up? Are they heavy? The foldable kayaks, Mom, are light, 18 pounds. They don't take very much effort. Aja and I took them out, and we had a lot of good luck with them. They're very, very easy to open up. They're easy to assemble. It was well worth the money. All right, you guys. So let's have everybody who's in the chat hit that like button so we can get this out more. And again, you guys, if you have anybody you know who might be interested in this topic, go ahead and share this video and encourage them to tune in now. I love it when people contribute to the discussion, and I appreciate it. So the next topic is boats. Boats stands for bust out another 1,000. And that's a joke in the fishing community about boats. So boats are a very interesting topic. And again, if I missed any details here, or if you guys have any more questions upon what I said, go ahead and leave me a comment in the chat. I'll try to address it. I'm going to chat here for about another 10 minutes, so I don't talk anybody's ear off tonight. But thank you to everybody who tuned in. I appreciate it. So boats, bust out another 1,000. Boats are expensive, you guys. There's no way around it. Boats are expensive, but again, there is pros and cons to it. Now, something I can say about pros. So if you like trolling for fish, so like trolling, for those who don't know, in the short phrase is you basically cast a lure behind the boat, you leave the motor running, and you drag the lure across whatever structure it is or whatever part of the lake you want. So if you troll a lot, like for walleye, or you troll a lot, like let's say like on the Great Lakes for any type of fish like trout, salmon, or walleye or anything like that, you definitely need a boat. I've heard of people trolling in kayaks, but from what I know, you always have to look behind your shoulder and see if you get a bite. And after a while, that can be a hassle. Whereas if you have a boat, you can buy rod holders and then you can face the direction that your poles are in and watch your poles for a bite, like right within arm's length reach. And to me, that's the way to go. So if you're into trolling or you like to fish big bodies of water, having a boat is definitely a huge advantage. Having a boat, you can cover a lot more ground. You can get to your fishing spots quicker. You can put more tackle and fishing poles in, hopefully. And there is a lot of advantages to it. But then the disadvantages to it is if you don't have a house, you got to store it. They do require maintenance. You do have to register them. You do have to get insurance for them. There is a lot to consider. Um, Now, from what my buddies tell me who are on the walleye circuits, the Lund boats are the way to go. In fact, the one I have in my phone here that I had saved was there was actually a pro series that they use. It was actually really good. So the one Pro V walleye boats are actually the ones that my buddies tell me are really good. Um, now again, a boat's going to help you get to where you need to go. And what I would definitely say is if you're fishing big water, big lakes, especially the Great Lakes, or you know a lake like Lake Oahe or Lake of the Woods or Devil's Lake or Lake McConaughey or any of the bigger ones in the Midwest, you really need a boat if you want to get out there. Now, granted, can you use a canoe some nights, a kayak some nights? Maybe some days when it's not windy, you can. You can definitely. But once that wind picks up, I mean, you're kind of screwed, especially if you have other boat traffic on the lake too. That's another thing, guys. If you have boat traffic on the lake where you have a mix of the wind and everything else, you are, for all intents and purposes, screwed at that point. I've been on big lakes before with kayaks where it's been a windy day and I thought I was just going to go out and go fishing. I had another thing coming. You spend more time paddling than you do fishing, and it's not efficient, especially if you're filming for content. It's not efficient. So definitely keep that in mind. Mike, good to see you here, buddy. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you tuning in tonight, man. Thank you. Good to see you here. All right, guys. So I'm going to go for about another 7 more minutes here. As always, if you have any comments or anything else that you'd like me to address in the chat, go ahead and put it in the chat. Let me know. Again, thank you guys for all that are watching on Facebook Live tonight. I appreciate seeing you guys here. Thank you again. If I don't get to your comments on Facebook during the chat, I promise I will do it after the chat. And thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. So that is kind of my 2 cents as far as fishing watercrafts go. I think there is a lot of different options out there. But really what I think you need to do above anything else is you got to decide on what fishing that you do the most of. And then you got to tailor your approach from there. So if, like I said, if you fish bigger lakes, you're better off getting a boat. If you live in a rural area that have ponds that are in the woods and stuff, then a foldable kayak is the perfect way to go. That's a perfect way to go. Or you could get a canoe, or you could get just a regular standard kayak. That's a perfect way to go. But one thing I would do is I would identify whatever it is that you like to fish, and then kind of tailor your watercraft needs to that. Honestly, I think that my personal favorite, if I was to be honest, I do like fishing out of boats, but I honestly think that fishing out of a canoe in like smaller rural ponds to me is a really fun way to fish. And especially if it's a lake where the fish are harder to catch, but they're bigger fish on average, those are my favorite types of trips. I definitely love those. And I mean, I can't really say enough good about that. Now, I also wanted to tell you guys too that this coming Thursday, I am doing a live chat. Again, we're going to be talking about fall bass fishing. I can't say it enough. Fall bass fishing it's a really underrated time of the year to catch big bass. You can really catch some big bass in the fall. You can really nail them. You just got to know what to do. So I'm going to go over that. And also, I did a chat on that on my Instagram too. So if you want to check out that video on my Instagram page, Bearded Fishing Chats, you just look it up. I'll be on there. And on Thursday, I'm also going to talk about some walleye tactics for the rest of the summer and into the fall. I'm also going to go and introduce some nighttime tactics for walleye too. I often find that not a lot of people target walleye at night as much as they should. I feel like it's a very, very underrated type of fishing. You can catch a lot of big walleye at night, and you can definitely get good results if you know what you're doing. Also, too, the fishing is transitioning a little bit right now. I'm getting reports that um, jigging is starting to work for walleye too. So I will be sure to address some of that in the chat when I see you guys again on Thursday. Couple of announcements also. I do have a few podcast guests that are going to be coming on soon. That will be announced soon. Towards the end of the month, I got one guest in particular who I think you guys will really enjoy. And my cousin Austin is actually coming on the channel soon. My cousin Austin is a fly fishing guide out in Utah. So if you guys out there like fly fishing, this is the guy that you want to talk to. I grew up fishing with this kid, started out bass fishing with him. Over the years, he's really gotten big into fly fishing. He's absolutely incredible at it. He's great at his craft. I really think that you guys will enjoy his insight. And his knowledge just about fly fishing and trout is off the charts. I mean, you guys will absolutely enjoy it. For those of you who like fly fishing or trout fishing like that, you guys need to tune in. He's going to give you guys the good tips that you need to be successful out there. And while I wrap this up tonight, feel free to check out my Instagram page, my Twitter page, or actually, I don't have a Twitter. I always get Twitter and TikTok messed up. I have a TikTok page, I have an Instagram page, and I have this page. Not sure yet if I'm going to have a TikTok page or a Twitter page or not down the road. That's to be determined. Probably not. People have told me to go on Twitch. I don't know if I want to do that either, but I do like Instagram a lot. I do like TikTok a lot, and of course, I love chatting with you guys on YouTube and Facebook. So. For the time being, folks, I'll end it there. Again, guys, please hit that subscribe button if you have not yet done so. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Hope everybody has a great evening, and I will see you guys here for the chat Thursday night. Hope you have an excellent rest of the evening.